Welcome to Moral Money. In episode 3, we uncovered the narrative, how stories shape obedience, perception becomes policy, and control begins in the mind. But a narrative alone isn't enough. Stories are the surface. The real control is in the structure behind the story. A design, a framework, an invisible architecture that shapes your life without asking for your consent. Episode 4: The Architecture of Control. Control isn't always violent. In fact, the most effective control is quiet. Designed. Normalized. The kind you don't even see until you hit a wall you didn't know was there. This episode is about that wall. We're talking about the system behind the system, the institutional, digital, legal, and psychological framework that's been constructed over decades. A structure that doesn't need your permission because it already has your participation. It begins with the visible. Laws and regulations that claim to protect you but restrict your movement, your access, your ability to opt out. Taxes that drain your labor while redistributing your power upward. Licensing systems that turn basic human activity into regulated privileges. Education systems that train obedience instead of awareness. Surveillance infrastructure that's sold as safety and becomes permanent. But that's just the entry level. The deeper layers are invisible, but far more dangerous. Digital platforms now act as states. Payment providers decide who can transact. Social media filters what's acceptable thought. AI tools monitor tone, behavior, and dissent. CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, aren't just money. They're programmable obedience. Money with conditions. Money with an expiry date. Money that can be frozen if you disobey. A system that monitors, measures, and enforces automatically. Control becomes structural when it hides inside everything. The user interface of your phone. The terms of service you never read. The scoring systems that determine if you're trustworthy enough to rent, to travel, to access credit. You're no longer a citizen. You're a data point in a behavioral feedback loop. Think about zoning laws and infrastructure. They don't just shape cities, they define who has power, who gets excluded, who pays more to live less. The architecture of control decides where you can live, how you move, what you own, and when you've violated a rule you didn't know existed. It's economic. It's digital. It's legal. It's cultural. And it's seamless. This is the true genius of control in the 21st century. It feels like normal life. It disguises itself as convenience. It embeds itself into habits, systems, interfaces, routines. And once it's fully embedded, it doesn't need to force you. It just removes the alternatives. In this episode, we break down how this structure was built, where it hides, and why escaping it starts with seeing it. Next up, episode 5, Scarcity as a Strategy. Because once the system is in place, the next step is controlling what flows through it. Not by providing too little, but by manufacturing artificial limits and forcing you to compete for what they already control. Subscribe now. This isn't just about waking up. It's about seeing the blueprint.